In this video, we're going to cover the second aorist. So the first aorist, we said, is made by combining the derivative stem with the sigmatic infix that comes between the stem and the ending. So then this is called the weak aorist. The second aorist is called the strong aorist because it doesn't use the derivative stem. It uses its own stem, the aorist stem, an aorist proper stem. So the second aorist, we'll say this is the first aorist. The second aorist uses the aorist stem. That's why in the previous video I said that the second aorist requires a little bit more memorization, because you can't just figure out what the aorist stem is unless you already know what it is. So I'll give you some examples of some verbs that use the aorist stem, the second aorist stem. So we have the word fevro, which means I leave. So the derivative future is θα φεύγω, I will be leaving. The imperfect is έφευγα, which means I was leaving. Now the aorist, if you tried to form it in the first aorist, you would get fèvre plus sigma and plus your ending, and you would get fevxa, accent, the ultima short accent goes on the antepenult. You would get ffxa for the aorist, but this is not a first aorist, so this doesn't exist. This does not exist. You need to use the aorist stem, which you need to know beforehand. So the aorist stem for fevro is, the stem is fyr, just fyr. And then what you do is you apply your first person singular ending. Oops, that's supposed to be an alpha. So then you would get fyra, alpha short, accent goes on the antepenult. Antepenult does not exist. The aorist is a secondary sequence of tenses, so you would put on an epsilon, the temporal augment, efira. So this is the aorist. This right here is the aorist. The aorist, it uses its own aorist stem, and it uses secondary endings and a temporal augment if it requires one. So it's very simple. There's nothing to it. You just take your aorist stem, and then you tack on your endings, and if you need a temporal augment, you put it on and accentuate it. That's it. That's it. There's nothing else to it. The only thing you need is a previous knowledge of what the stem is in the aorist, what the aorist stem is. So I'll just give you a couple more examples of some verbs. Some of you might say, oh, this word fevro, all you do is take off the epsilon and then you get fyr. Oh, that's easy. But this is just one example. You'll see in the next examples that it's not intuitive. It's not intuitive like you might think. So another word we have is lamvano. Lamvano, which means I get. So lamvano, the aorist stem for this is lav. So what you do is you take your aorist stem, you tack on the ending, your first person ending, or whatever ending or whatever person you're looking for. Lav, alpha is short, accent goes on the antepenult. Elava, I got. Another example, we have vaso, which means I put. So the aorist stem of vaso is val. So we tack on our first person singular endings, Alpha is short accent goes in the antepenult. Antepenult doesn't exist. Aorist is a secondary sequence of tenses. Et voilà. The next one is meno. Meno, which means I stay or I remain. The aorist stem of meno is mean. So similar thing. Tack on your ending. Alpha short. Emina, I stayed, I remain. I remained. So that's it. In the second aorist, you have to remember what the aorist stem is. That's the only difficult thing here. And in the future, we're going to be using the aorist stem to form other tenses. So if we make our formula, the second aorist past, you take your aorist stem, the aorist proper stem, not a pseudo quote-unquote aorist stem by taking the derivative and adding sigmatic infix. You take your aorist stem and you add secondary endings. And that's it. Very easy.